receiving everything as it is, no mind movement, just be aware. That state, when your mind is calm and quiet and accepting everything, is like death of ego, be in the moment, all these words. But something triggered to visit this. Or maybe I shouldn't be visiting, you just should be there all the time. But that's not the case. My mind moves. And when my mind moves and settle, you get to that peace, awareness of state of being. It's wonderful. There are some koans that indicate, but why I start to think about this was one of the event this morning. And I'm not going to go into detail, but let me just talk about the koan and the Lao Tzu, and maybe also Shin Buddhism, Saichi, and Michio-san, if I can remember all those, because everything is pointing the same, which is one, the koan of Joshu, when a monk was upset or not happy about the lady who gave the wrong direction to that temple when people ask the direction. So many people get lost. So Joshu said, okay, I'll go find out and take care of it. He went there, asked the direction of the temple, and the old lady said, this is the way, and Joshu went as she directed. Came back and explained to other monks that I took care of it. That's a koan. That's what I thought when I got a little questioning in my mind that there are certain things, the protocol that I'm not quite sure about, but I'm following because it's no point of disturbing the water, so to speak. And that moment, I thought about the koan. So it's not fighting against the status quo. And that's natural for a mind to be like that. But when it's unnecessary, just pass by and go with the flow. I use the word the right way of the universe. And that was the moment. No problem. I can do things as it's being done, maybe including the visa application with New Zealand. And some bureaucratic processes are very unclear, but I just followed and eventually I found the solution out. So what is the state of going with the flow and being aware but not using the mind, but be peaceful? And that's a very interesting state that I think it's worth talking about it. There's a noise outside, but you don't need to get upset. Noise would eventually pass by and we can continue this discussion. So that was one koan of Joshu and the road to the temple. I think Taisan was the name of the temple. And the event this morning. And when you're at that state, that's also what you find like in Saichi, Shin Buddhism. The one was Joshu in Zen, and Shin Buddhism is different branch of Buddhism, you can call it, but pointing the same. In case of Saichi, he lives and he dies. One of the example, breathing in, get the energy, air, and breathing out, and throw out the delusion and waste. And he even said he dies while he is alive. And all the funeral is done. I posted another video about Saichi, about that, which is basically the death of ego. And the pointing where the mind is not moving. Just be aware at the moment as it is. And there's peace, clarity, and that's in Saichi's case, goes in there when he says, or think about that state, or Nama Amida Butsu, remembering the vow of Amida to save. So he becomes Amida, because he's gone, replaced by Amida. And what that Amida represents is very much like Joshu's state of mind, where law of universe manifests as it is everywhere. So that's about Saichi. Then I thought about Michio, who is someone I met maybe 1,000 years ago over the internet, and he came to see me in Osaka when I was visiting some company. And in the discussion, which I posted on the web elsewhere, he was pointing the conversion or salvation, or whatever the word, satori. In Shin Buddhism, it's called the Shinjin Ketsujo, which is finding the full Buddha, Amida, being with you. So when he had that experience, like the experience of awakening, and since then, well, that experience, he said, is after having a trouble and confused in the world to live and felt incompetent, and then all of a sudden, as if something fall onto him from above, he found the Pure Land. His death of ego, confusion, delusion turned into awakening. And that is very similar to Zen, Satori, but the approach to get there is different. But when we talk, one of the expression was, since that time, he lost the meaning of time. So the time dimension is gone. So he's being in the now. He's just an ordinary man about my age, born in the temple of Shin Buddhism, and parents studied or shared about Daisetsu and others in Amida Buddha. At his age 35 or 7, he had that conversion experience. And since then, he's free, liberated, as if liberating from the time. That's what I remember. So, all the topic and the discussion kind of centers around what this state of being. The mind is quiet, you're being attentive, I mentioned, not because you think you are, because you're aware that's who you are, and that awareness is the master of the universe, so to speak, not the ego being the master. So you can convert the word Amida Buddha to God or Christ, whatever the term that they fit. Because like a brother Lawrence or my Eckhart relationship with God is so close that goes in and out, so to speak. That goes meaning you go into that space of being with the law of universe. and everything is resolved. Yet, like Saichi pointed out, he's pitiful. Even when he seeing his wife sleeping, and he said, there's the devil living in the house. But he's also, we call it, enlightened in a way, to know the other shore. And he goes back and forth to the other shore, the Pure Land, and back to the human society. So there's a term in Shin Buddhism, going out that way and coming back this way in the society, and it goes back and forth. It's his way. I may not have mentioned about Chansu's story, but that's also something related to that experience I was talking about this morning, about going with the flow, not make fuss about it, just go with the flow. And what this is interesting is that Chansu was talking about the guy on the boat in the river. When the boat comes down and hit him, and if there's a sailor or whoever is maneuvering the boat, he gets upset. But when the boat comes down and hit his boat on this river, and if there's nobody running, sailing the boat, then there's no argument, acceptance. So those are interesting phenomena of one state to the other. And if you see all the event as if there's nobody causing the event, but just the event is as it is, then your response may be, okay, that happened, what's the thing to do? And then move on, finding the way what to do into the future. So logic what we use in the society is not there in Pure Land or awakened state or Satori or being in the now, being in awareness. That sounds weird or stupid, and not like the person staying in such state is maybe seen as someone who doesn't belong to the society, and that's in a way true that the monkhood is living off from the society. Shukke, out of the house, is a Japanese way for the monk to live. And all the discussion I said is like a fantasy land. But if that's awakening, and that's the peace, eternal peace you find, and the way of the universe you're riding, and you are the universe, not the small identity with ego, doing this, doing that. So that's what I see and what I find in my life, being. And yet, like the case of Saichi, go in and out, Pure Land and back. Or this is what Daisetsu Suzuki says, that what's the use of being at the Pure Land or Nirvana, or what's the term in Christianity? Heaven. It's no point of being there for long. You may say that you're out there, but why don't you come back and do the work? That's Bodhisattva. And wherever we are, I guess those are some parameters or ideas, if you call it, that various people who lived with us or ahead of us have shared, and for us perhaps to find a meaning in what it is. We can call it the meaning of nothingness, because in the mind, how can the mind crystallize or digest that? But that's, like Daisetsu pointed, we can go back to the Garden of Eden and eat the fruit of knowledge, come back and do the work, bring out compassion and wisdom.